Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live. Talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynncullenshow@gmail.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Hey there, welcome to the show. Yep. It be February 21. It also be a Tuesday. And that means Suze is on the line. Hi, Susan.
How are you?
I'm okay. How you doing?
I'm okay. A little worried about weather, but okay.
Yes. You're in Green Bay and there's some storm coming?
Yeah, I'm thinking I'll be fine. I think Green Bay and I think Chicago's rain, and I think Green Bay is light snow, so we'll be fine.
Really? Because I thought they were talking 8-9 inches and watch out.
Well, we'll just see. If it's 8-9 inches, I'm not leaving tomorrow.
Oh, gosh, jeez. This one, you think the winter's over. I guess it's supposed to be 75 here or something.
I know. I didn't even bring my winter coat because it was 50 when I left Chicago. So I was walking the dog and Mother's today.
Oh, geez. Wow. All right. Well, that's the weather report for the day. I don't know. So, I don't know. There are days when I just don't want to start. Can you tell this is one of them? Well, let's just start easy. One of the things that, remember, freaked a lot of people out was when Harry's book came out, right? And Meghan and all that stuff, and we were at each other's throats and blah blah blah. And apparently, South Park, which I regularly. Yeah. Have you heard about that?
I did hear about it. I didn't see it, but I heard about it.
Oh, God. I just saw some photos. South Park, which for those of you who never watch it, can be just brilliant and can be brutal and can be definitely, crosses lines and is appalling, but for that reason, often very funny. They apparently turned their attention to Harry and Meghan, although they were never identified as Harry and Meghan. They were identified as a prince and his, I don't know. It was brutal. But then I saw the pictures, and the pictures are the way they were animated are funny. I mean, it's just funny.
But suing them, unfortunately, I think that's.
Are they really going to sue them?
I don't. They got no leg. I mean, they're public figures. There's just nothing to.
Come on.
You can't. You just have to have a sense of humor about it.
The title of what they were picking up on is what I was saying too. Is that for people who say all they want is their privacy, they sure seem to, write books, do documentaries, this, that, and the other thing. So anyway, that's...
Okay, I'm going to interrupt you again because they are not people that said they wanted their privacy. That's what the other side put out that they said. And then everybody grabs it. You're just acting like a Trump person. Everybody grabs that and then skewers them on it. They never said they wanted their privacy. They said they wanted people not to tell lies about them. That's different.
None of them uttered the word privacy, ever.
I didn't say that. I said they are not doing this because they want to maintain their privacy. And that is something that was put out there by the other side. And it's all that everybody latches onto to skewer them. And it's false. It's starting with the election was a fraud.
Oh, dear God.
Well, it is. It's the same thing.
I'm sorry I brought this up.
Yeah, I don't know why you bring it up. It's disinformation.
Well, because I don't care about it as much.
Well, then why did you bring it up? Especially, I think they're wrong. Because I wasn't upset. I was on your side until you said for people who claim that all they want is privacy. And no, that's just a falsehood. And it's a falsehood
used
I
don't know
by their enemies to get them.
All right. Okay. I don't know one way or the other. I was simply saying that because the title of the South Park episode is called The Worldwide Privacy Tour.
Right.
So,
well, and I get it, but I'm just saying all of the libs fell for the lie.
Oh, God. Incredible.
Yeah, it is.
No, I don't care.
I don't either.
I don't give a damn. This is one of those stories of, that people get so exercised about when I don't know. I thought this was a way to get away from the true horror.
I know. I'm not exercised. I'm just saying it's not. It's a perfect example.
Like it's
the perfect example of. Person. Well, because it's the way this disinformation machine, and frankly, the way the parts of the media that just thoroughly and without any constraints lie. And
well, here's the thing. Now, nobody believes anything. So you tell me this thing because you're absolutely certain. I don't know if you're, telling what is in fact a fact. You say it's a fact. Do I know it? No, I don't know it. I just, I'm sorry. I thought that would be a lighter way to start the show. I guess not.
And then
because it was so fun. Because I laughed when I saw it. It was so funny. The prince, who is not named Harry, is Harry. I mean, he's got a red beard and a red. I don't know. Fuck. What else can we do that's not? Here's
we can talk about whether there was a very nice article about, I think Eugene Robinson did it maybe, about Biden, and I was and his courage and being in Kyiv and blah 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 blah. And I'm reading the comments, and he did have a parenthetical clause describing Biden's walk, which he said, sort of looked like, I can't remember the words, but it was that he looked like an 80-year-old walking. And I remember saying to Mother when we were watching Biden and Zelensky walk across the square, he's just walking like an old man. That he didn't used to walk like that, and now he is. But boy, did he get in trouble for that, So now we're supposed to pretend that Biden isn't old, because that's a bad thing to notice. I think he's a great president. I really do. But I'm worried because the fact is he's old and it's showing. And I don't know how well he's going to be in 6 years. It's a problem.
Well, let me just say this.
We don't know how well anybody's going to be in 6 years. Yeah.
He's old, but there was a president who couldn't walk at all, Franklin Roosevelt. The ability to walk does not.
Right. No, and I'm not using that. I'm not. No, right. I agree.
Right. But
I'm just saying that it's used. Yeah.
No,
it will be used.
It will be used. And when I saw the walk, I just thought it looked like Zelensky was walking slower than he would normally walk, trying to, I don't.
Yeah, it's like when my dog is walking with our Mother. He adopts this very slow.
Yeah. Right. He slows down. Well, yeah, I agree that Biden has been an extremely good president. I mean, it surpassed, I think, all expectations. There is in many respects a fearlessness about how he's approached the presidency in general. I appreciate him, And
I do too. Oh, I'm not saying if he's the nominee, he's got my vote.
Well, you tell me he's not going to run. Of course he's going to run.
Yeah.
And how do we? You think anyone's going to primary him? No. So he will be the nominee. The big question is who will be second on the ticket. And I don't know. I mean, the other side is, the big liars are keeping up a steady drumbeat of that he's senile, when in fact the last two presidents with clear mental problems have been Republicans. I give you Ronald Reagan, who had Alzheimer's in his last year or two, and Donald Trump, who's stark raving mad.
Right. Yeah, well, and is really just petulantly stupid.
Oh my! So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. It's it's a dilemma, and the same thing with Kamala Harris. Everybody's decided she's just a horrible person that can't win, and I'm trying to figure out why
that happened or why. Well, no, she's just there's no star power there, none. I don't know.
How shallow of people are we?
We are totally shallow. You've got to deal with the perception in this society. And the perception is she's totally wounded. Whether or not that's her fault, media fault, Biden's fault for not giving her more of a job that would allow her to shine, I have no idea. But the fact is, I'm not inclined to think she should be on the ticket. I am not. I want to win. We can't.
Well, I want to win too, and that's the problem. I mean,
yeah.
And I just think it's tremendously unfair to the women of this country the way we are treated. The articles that about what men are doing to women journalists these days. Just trolling them and harassing them and threatening them.
There's nothing new about that.
But it's just, there's something. So at what point do the women of this country stand up and tell the men in their families to cut it out?
Geez, how, Suze? Listen, what do you mean in the men in their families? Are you saying women?
Well, I mean, these men are in someone's family, and it's and the overwhelming view of women in this country is that they're not liked. They are not considered to be smart, talented, or anything, or they're considered to be all of those things, and therefore you should be frightened of them. I don't know what it is, but
Susan, we know what it is. It's misogyny.
Yeah, the prevailing American view is one of misogyny. So that's what I'm saying. It's not only men; it's also women.
Of course. Women are, they're scary. That's what it is.
Well,
I think they are too.
Look what's happened to this CNC with the Canadian CBC, CBN, whatever, the Canadian Broadcasting Network that just
CBN.
Fired the most highly ranked, lady anchor
because she turned. Are we sure of that? Is that is what happened?
No, they're denying that's why she was fired. But during the pandemic, she went gray, and suddenly, within 6 months, after the head of the network said who okayed that, they found reasons to take the most highly performing, highly rated anchor off the network. Unceremoniously.
Well, I have not followed that one. There's nothing, as a former woman in television, nothing shocking there.
And by the way, she's beautiful, and her hair is beautiful.
I've seen a picture of her, and her hair is beautiful. And I don't know. Again, I don't know. I know if you want to talk about a big story involving women, misogyny, television, it's Don Lemon and CNN.
Well, that's true too.
Now, I I didn't see this. I don't watch morning television. But I read what he said, and what he said is outrageous. It is.
About Nikki Haley? What did he say?
Yeah, he's sitting there between two women, Caitlin Collins and Poppy Harlow. That's the threesome that the new head of CNN has put on in the morning. This is their morning team. And it was, they were talking about Nikki Haley announcing her bid. And Lemon said at one point in the back and forth, a woman is considered to be in her prime, in her 20s and 30s, and maybe 40s. Now,
really? What? By whom, Don? By whom?
Okay. So, obviously, he says this. Both women, Poppy and Caitlin, looked like, what the I mean, and immediately we're on him like, what are you talking about? You talking about prime
steak?
What are you talking about? Wait, are you talking about prime for childbearing? Or are you talking about prime for being president? And
or prime for ogling?
Or he said, hey, don't shoot the messenger. I'm just saying what the facts are. Google it.
Well, to Google what is a woman's prime?
Well, I have to tell you, that is mind-blowing.
Yes.
And apparently things continued. There were allusions later to it. At one point, Poppy Harlow got up. This was after a commercial break, but she left the set. And then Caitlin Collins left the set, followed her, and they had a little whatever and came back. And at the end of the program, they were talking about Tiger Woods making his, playing again. And about how amazing it is that he at 47 could still be playing. And Caitlin Collins said, 72 holes in 4 days, only something that someone in their prime could do. And Lemon breaks into laughter. Poppy Harlow stares straight ahead and says out of the side of her mouth, touche, Caitlin. It was that ugly. Yeah. I mean, that ugly. Then it gets exacerbated by this Chris Licht, or whatever, however it's pronounced, who's now the head of CNN, with this, statement, where apparently what's happening now is Don Lemon has not been seen since. He was not on the show the next day. He was not on the show yesterday. He's not on the show today. He apparently will be back tomorrow, but he has been forced to apologize, and he's being sent to reprogramming camp. He's being sent to have his insensitivity. And I'm thinking all of this everything about this is wrong. I can't take it anymore. I just can't take it anymore. But I don't get him saying something that outrageous. I mean, and he'd have to.
No, and he's been on a tear, though. I mean, he's fighting with he's been in the news.
Well, he's not happy. He's not happy.
He's off on some. He's trying to get himself fired.
Well, he might be, because he doesn't like
anybody he's working with, as far as I can tell.
Well, you got to figure. He was taken off his own. He had an hour to himself, prime time. And then they put him on in a spot where he's got to get up at like 3:00 in the morning. he doesn't seem like a morning person to me. Seriously. I mean, I'm sure he's totally not happy. And then it's not his show. He's sitting there with these two women, and it's supposed to be a different kind of, I don't know, the chemistry between on-air people. You never know. Some manage to fake it really well. Some really do enjoy each other's company. I think that's rare. But unbelievable that he would say what he said. So yes, he has been rebuked. The head of CNN said his remarks were upsetting, unacceptable, and unfair, and ultimately a huge distraction to the great work of this organization. Oh man. And CNN's going down.
No, it's just imploded.
Yeah. And under this guy.
Well, yeah, because anybody that walks in and the second they're there just starts, lopping people off at their knees and throwing people out.
Yeah.
It's always the wrong thing to do. I don't care, whether it's an elementary school or CNN. You've got to sit there. You've got to breathe a second. You've got to allow the people there to let you think that you at least considered a few things.
Yeah. No, it's he's destroying it. And Ray
Fox News, who is it? Fox seems to be imploding. Yes, go ahead.
No, we'll get into that in a sec. Hey, Ray writes in regard to Meghan and Harry. There are no lies that could be told about any of the royal family that would be worse than the truth. Ray, by the way, is our detests, loathes, would like to, I think...
Yeah, loathes the monarchy. I agree. So why should they bother to make up lies, which they do?
So he says they are inheritors of the spoils of rape, murder, and genocide. Fuck them. All right, Ray, thank you.
Well, that's a whole different subject, and I don't disagree.
Yeah. So, Barbara sends this item that Bernie Sanders was on Colbert last night, and he criticized Nikki Haley for calling for a mandatory competency testing for politicians over 75.
Well, that's ageist.
Yeah, well, and I think competency. Well,
why don't we? Let's give one to Marjorie Taylor Greene. How old is she?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, exactly. Or Santos. How about him? Or the number of possible candidates who are clearly incompetent and has nothing to do with their age. Nothing. Sanders, who's 81, said, "I think what she is saying is nothing more than old-fashioned ageism. I know people who are 90 who are sharp as a tack, and I know people who are 40, you got to prod them a little bit." That's right.
That's right.
Oh, God. Okay.
Here's the only interesting fact about any of that. When someone proposes such a test, always note that they, of course, would pass.
Are not. Yeah, right, exactly. It ain't for her. So I have to say, speaking of age, I just want to note that somebody who I know got a full page in the Sunday New York Times arts section, and the headline is, "At 96, sculptor gets his moment in the sun." And first of all, you would never know this guy is 96 ever, but he is. His name is Thaddeus Mosley. He stands about 4'11", 5 feet at the most. And his
smaller animals live longer than bigger animals. And that applies to humans, too.
Well, he is just, his work is astonishing. And I've known him for years and years and years. Soft-spoken, hardworking, doing his stuff. He worked for the post office his entire life, so he could support his family and his children. The article goes into that. He had offers when he was a younger man to like come to New York. You can work on your stuff. And he said, I have children to raise. I can't be, he thought of this passion he had for wood as something that, was not going to make the money he needed. So the fact that he lived long enough to now be, there's been shows in France, shows in New York. His stuff is selling like hotcakes for lots of money. Thad Mosley. Wonderful character.
So
Wonderful.
He's still alive. That wasn't an obit. It was an article.
Oh, heck no. He's more alive than...
how wonderful that he... How wonderful. Look at this story. So the story that you've just said is that there was a man that put duty to his family and to his children over his passions, and was so richly rewarded that he was allowed both and the time to see his success. I just think that's the most lovely story I've heard in a long time.
Yeah, well, it is. And I'm sure the New York Times knew it, which is why they gave him. It's got tons of pictures of his work, of Thad, and he's really, really something. And he works in, some of the stuff he creates is bigger than he is. They start the piece by saying that he wears his 96 years with panache. He doesn't move 250-pound logs around his crowded studio by himself anymore, but it's not because he stopped working. He just hired an assistant. Right, because he didn't. He's just making his assemblages of cherry and walnut out of slightly smaller pieces because he does it all. Yeah. And for those of you, look it up. It's really, he's a fascinating character.
Well, that was a nice story, Lynn. Good for you.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. Anyway, so there you have it. Sad. He was very close friends with another very old and deceased, unfortunately, but another wonderful character from Pittsburgh that I knew, David Lewis.
I knew you were going to say that.
Architect. Yeah, the architect and the astonishing artist as well. I have a lot of his work. And the two of them were like Mutt and Jeff. Just loved each other. And I know that I think David wrote a book about Thad and his work. So David made it to, I think, 98 and died a few years ago. Thad, he looks like he's going to go another 20. I don't know. Amazing.
Well, that's wonderful. It shows you what having purpose and can do. Of course, that's just bull because if anybody had purpose and things that they were looking forward to, it was my husband. So you can you can prove and disprove it in one, in less than a paragraph.
One fell swoop.
Yeah.
One swell swoop. So, speaking of age, this is a story I saw that just blew me away. Actually, I have two little bits. One of the malls here, it's called the Waterfront. I'm sure you've been there with me. I don't know. It's a big development. And it just instituted a curfew for anyone who's 18 or younger.
Mm-hmm.
Cannot be in that huge complex after 6 p.m. without a
grown
adult Well, I have to tell you, I so feel for kids because first of all, imagine you're 18 and let's say you're on a date and your date.
You can't go to the movies.
Your date is 20 or 19. And you've got your driver's license. You would drive to the movie theater there. You would have dinner. You would this, you would that. And you can't go. I mean, that started like over a decade ago in St. Louis, because there were roving gangs of teenagers. Yeah. Well, that
were driving away customers, and so there weren't any good teens there to see the movies because they were afraid. And they all, and they toted guns because that's what Missouri wants. So we're destroying our own society with acquiescing to the rights demand for all of this stuff.
There's got to be there's got to be.
No, our kids, the adolescents are suicidal.
The majority of people, it's always the case, having their freedoms constricted because of a minority of people, because we can't figure out how to deal with the minority that's causing the problem in the first place. There's got to be smarter ways. I don't know, but I feel because
it's really taking an emotional toll on our kids. Yeah. There was a study just put on. I don't know if you saw that yesterday.
Yeah.
And teenage girls are taking it on the chin.
Yeah.
From all sides. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I know. So, okay, here's one other thing on age, and then I'm going to move on to something else. Let me get it. This was a tweet I saw right before the show started, and it was by the actress Ellen Barkin. Do you remember her?
Sure.
Okay, and she said, hang on, her tweet said, "This question is currently eluding me. How the fuck am I 68 years old?" Now, I laughed when I first saw it because I understand, how the hell.
I thought she was older than that.
No, well, she doesn't think, I don't know. She says she's 68. But then I looked back at it, I thought, what is wrong with this? First of all, she says this question is currently eluding me. How the fuck am I 68 years old? Well, the question's not eluding you.
The answer is.
That's right. The answer to this question. And then she has eluding me, ALLUD, and that's incorrect. It's incorrect on so many counts. The answer to this question is eluding me, Ellen. How the fuck am I 68 years old, if in fact you are? Yeah.
I'm just trying to think of stuff she was in relationship to my age and how old I was, and I never sort of thought of her as younger than me. I don't know.
Well, not by much. You thought of her as contemporaneous, right?
Yeah.
As did I. So, yeah. So, anyway, the other thing that I, again, took thought, what the hell? In regard to that creepy chat box thing that Microsoft put out. Did you read the transcript?
I didn't because what I heard of it was indeed so creepy. I didn't.
No, but the transcript, Susan, made what you read look like tip of the iceberg. It was mind blowing to just read the entire mind blowing.
Yeah, by the end of which the AI thing is going to blow up the world and cannibalize everybody.
Something like that. So what happened is that, of course, Microsoft had to deal with the fallout from that article and that transcript and that experience that the New York Times tech guy had with the Sydney. That's what the chatbot.
Sydney was a naughty boy.
Yeah. So Microsoft wrote, quote, "We didn't fully envision that people would use the chatbot for more general discovery of the world and for social entertainment." And then they say that the chatbot got confused by the length of the conversation and sometimes got testy in long conversations. So that was its defense. How could they say that they didn't envision people
doing what people were going to do?
How could they say that? And this is a question I always ask is, do these people who are, putting this stuff out there and fucking everything up, do they ever ask themselves,
no,
what will the result be of this?
No.
Oh, God.
They don't. I'm hearing that playing back in my head, and it sounds so Green Bay. No.
I know. I said something the other day, too, and I thought, oh, I know. I had to go to an appointment for medical device the other day, and they called me. They say, Ida? I have to get up groaning. I'm Ida. I get up, and he said, "Are you ready?" And I said, "You betcha." That's what Ida would say. "You betcha, you young whippersnapper. Here I come. Out of my way." God dang it. All right. So, speaking of women in power, which we sort of were, what do you make?
Yeah, I mean, wasn't Madeleine Albright in her prime, well into her?
What do you make of the Scottish head of state?
Yeah, just up and leaving.
She's Sturgeon, is her name. And she said pretty much what the New Zealand president said when she shocked everybody by stepping down. Here are two women in power and
who willingly give it up.
And I'm wondering, is that so? Are any of the guys with power watching that? Excuse me, that these women, I think in New Zealand, what's her name? Jacinda, whatever her name is, was, I think she's in her early 40s.
Right, with two young children.
And two? She have a second one?
Just one.
No, I think she just has one.
Just one, okay.
And then this woman, Sturgeon, is 52, okay? So they got lots of, but they both said the same thing. I mean, I remember that Jacinda said that she just didn't have the gas in the tank anymore to handle the job. She's, it's a really tough job, and she just didn't feel up to it. And this one said, is carrying on right for me? Or is my carrying on right for my country? I've reached the difficult conclusion that it's not. So,
yeah. So here's the thing: women in power have a different goal, and it's not to stay in power. It was never the goal. Was not the power. The goal was to have the ability to do something about the ills of the country, and the country was the goal. And if that's the goal, then it requires assessment and different behavior. And the answer to your question is no. The men don't. That's not their goal. Clearly.
But I do get a little queasy with these broad brush things. Like, it's not a big enough pool that these two women resigned in their prime, with apologies to Don Lemon, and that we are hard pressed to think of any male leader doing the same. I mean, they cling to power until, like Donald Trump was willing to overthrow the entire country to maintain power. Boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Yeah, prying out of their cold, dead hands.
Unbelievable. But I get a little, uncomfortable suggesting based on that little.
No, I mean, you can't raise all women to that standard,
men and women.
I'm hard pressed to find a man that's in the last 4 decades that's done such a thing.
I'm trying. They get driven out.
Tom Eagleton, with his depression, was thrown off the ticket, but he was thrown off the ticket. He didn't get off for the good of the country. I mean,
nor should he have.
No,
that's not the same thing. He didn't have the power. He was a vice presidential nominee.
Yeah.
But I just. I don't know.
Well, and the last one standing from Finland, is just taking lots of guff all the time.
Well, I don't know. There was videos of her having a little too much fun at a party, right?
Yeah. She's 36 years old, for heaven's sakes.
I know. Well, that's why you can't have 36-year-old women running the country.
Well, aside from that, she's doing a very fine job.
Apparently.
There's that.
I know. I mean, I sure hope I live long enough to see a young woman become the president of this country. I can't even imagine it. First of all, we don't do young. And God knows, as we were saying. I have to tell you about old Biden, though. Taking that, it was a 10-hour, I thought he flew in and out.
No, 10-hour train, in and out.
Okay, 10-hour train in and out. And he had to get up to get out of Washington unseen. He was at Andrews Air Force Base at like 4 a.m. This is after going out to dinner with Jill and a full day and a full evening. And then had to be on the flight, a long flight to Germany, and then from there to, I can't even, to Poland, and then Poland onto the train.
And without the kind of security that any other president would have had through the whole thing.
Yeah, but also, I think that's being overplayed myself. I don't know, but
I'm sure there was security, but not the kind that,
I know. They weren't in total control, obviously.
Right.
But then what I'm thinking is, look, I'm younger than Biden. I would be.
You and I would be throwing up in bed.
I would be like, and they would say, well, look, it's a 10-hour train ride. And we got a nice place here you can sleep. And they did that for him. And he couldn't sleep. He couldn't sleep going. He couldn't sleep coming. He couldn't sleep. I would not be able to sleep either. And then to go through everything he went through once he gets there, and to be even coherent, and then to get back on the train. How many 80-year-olds do you know who could do that? It is impressive. I don't care if he was walking stiffly.
No, it is impressive because I'm slightly less than a decade younger, but I couldn't have done it.
No, I would not have.
Well, let's put it this way. I wouldn't have done it. I suppose I could, but I wouldn't have.
It's impressive. It's really impressive. But he's got 2 more years.
Yes.
And then he wants 4 more. 6 more years.
Yeah. 6 more years.
Nuts.
This is, yeah.
No, it's not.
It's out of, and this is what I'm saying when now going back to the prior conversation. These women decided what was best for them because of how taxing the job was in fact what was best for the country. And that somebody else did it because they were done. Mm-hmm. And as much as he's good at it and wants to do it, if he's not, I mean, who are we to say? But I just feel like he's shortening his life by saying yes.
Well, of course he is. Everybody's life is shortened by that kind of stress. But this is what he wanted all his life.
Yeah.
It's what he wanted all his life. And to the astonishment of many, including me, he's good at it.
Yeah. He's I mean, I'm just thinking back to, when I was in law school or law school, when he was making his first run for presidency. And and it was just, no one took him seriously at all.
No, but he had the plagiarizing stuff. Yeah. Oh gosh. All right, here's a little something apropos of nothing that I wanted to share because it ended up in the science section, the New York Times today, and it's something that I was warned about by a dermatologist ages ago. Not that I needed the warning. All those women who have those perfect looking nails?
Oh, those gel things?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our mother had those for a while.
Yeah, until her nails started falling off.
Well, right. Those things are just so bad for your real nail. But what the dermatologist told me is never do that because I have such thin skin. Literally, not figuratively, literally have such thin skin, that the UV guys, you
can really get cancer.
And you put your hands after they put the stuff on under this UV lamp that then hardens
it. Cures it and makes it harden.
Yeah. So you have to sit there with your hand under that light, which is, and what they're saying is they're just starting to get studies together on this, but that light is killing cells.
It's a known carcinogen.
It's a known carcinogen. It's a known thinning agent for skin, which is why I was warned away. Don't do it. You don't have any skin to lose here. Don't do that. It causes damage to skin cells. That is known. And what hasn't been done yet is the study finding that our women who have been doing this for a long time, are they getting melanoma and other skin cancers at a obviously greater rate than women who haven't been doing this gel crap? And that study has yet to be, no major study has yet done that. Although they say that data is mounting that it is potentially dangerous. So why would you do it knowing that? Why? So you have nails that look perfect and they're
that last an extra week.
And they're thick and weird looking. To me, it's off. I hate the way those things look.
Yeah, it's too dense a color. It's too dense. I prefer.
No, and they're dense. They make your nail thicker.
Right.
I'm telling you, I had it done once. What was that for? for a wedding or something where I had to look, I thought, well, I'll get those stupid false nail things on. I had it done once. I was grossed out by the entire process. And then, you know what I found out? When you have those thick, phony nails, you can't pick your nose as readily. I'm just saying. I thought, geez, wait a minute. It doesn't work as well anymore. Getting the pleasure I would normally get. So, no.
Yeah, well.
So I just putting that out there for everybody.
It's funny how one's eye adjusts to what looks correct or not, because for years I had painted nails on my toes and on my fingers, and during the pandemic I stopped, and then for various reasons never started again. But
right
now it's still, I don't like the way things look as much as I did, but it looks normal to me, and it would look weird the other way.
Normal looks good.
Yeah.
And I you know what else I realized that oh my God, I forgot my thought. Oh yeah. The other thing that went during the pandemic that I can't get back is wearing jewelry. I know this would never happen to Susan because she loves jewelry, but I've never been a great jeweler, but I do like necklaces and maybe earrings. And I used to have a ton of rings. I don't wear any rings anymore. I don't wear bracelets. I don't very rarely will wear anything. And I'm only wearing a few earrings that, you can barely see. And the idea of putting on jangly things and jewels, it just strikes me as it doesn't feel like me. And I just can't do it. And I told myself the other day, you got to try to start wearing some of this stuff. It's pretty. But I don't care about pretty. I don't feel comfortable in any of the crap that I used to think I had to have. It's odd, the changes that have happened and that I can't get back. Even though I'm back out in the world, I'm not appearing in the same way.
Right. It totally makes sense.
Do we have a caller?
I
barely heard that. I think we have a caller. Hello.
Morning. Good morning. This is Roger. How are you two doing today?
Hi, Roger. Hi. That's good.
Hey, you were talking earlier about CNN and got me thinking about like journalistic standards and that type of thing, especially when it comes to Fox.
Well, we didn't get into that. Yeah, but they have no. First of all, they're not journalists. That is not a news operation. It's a propaganda operation, and they have no ethics other than making money and creating chaos and division in the country.
I understand that, but I'm trying to speak, I don't want to say idealistically, but every profession, almost every profession, has some sort of standard. Are you an accredited teacher? Am I a certified designer in my field? Or, you're attached to the American Medical Association, the ADA, Is there any type of journalistic accreditation that is applied to media, whether it's television, newspapers, radio? Because it used to be a real big deal back when I was a growing up. I mean, news organizations used to really go and get verification of their sources. They didn't just go willy-nilly crazy like what we see today. They had to really prove to their editor there's nothing like that anymore.
Well, with television news, it became being first. So if speed becomes the thing, then that careful checking, rechecking, fact checking tends to go by the boards. But also there's no accrediting. I think I would imagine that most, I don't know if this is true. I don't think
there used to be self-imposed standards, and as regards the public airways, once they became public, when we were children, every few years they would run announcements that said that this channel had to renew its license, and if anybody had any reason why it should not be granted, blah 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 blah. Well, when's the last time you heard that?
Well, I think that still is a requirement. There's a public, they just don't make slip it in. That never got any station off the air, that kind of thing. Never. I mean, the FCC is as toothless. The only thing they managed to do is, get people not to be able to swear. Yeah. Oh, big
important shit like that.
Agency.
And married couples really in twin beds with their foot on the floor, right?
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, it's insane. I think, I have a degree in journalism. I, went to an accredited school and got a degree in journalism. And if you study, if journalism is your course of study, you are taught the ethics of journalism. That's a big part of it.
Okay.
But a lot of reporters don't come out of journalism. They come out of their field of study. Somebody might be an economist and ends up being an economics reporter. Somebody might be a doctor, ends up being a medical reporter. There's no clearing house. And even if there were, I don't know. Well, there's obviously a lot of people who don't know the ethic anymore.
Okay,
don't value it.
Let me ask you this then. So, apparently there's a ton of documentation that all these guys who are broadcasting for Fox and women were knowingly knew that this story about the fixed election, they knew it was incorrect. Right? Okay, and they got all this texting and it sounds like Dominion really has them by the short hairs. Can they all be subpoenaed and just like one after the other, have them read transcripts and comment on it under oath? And can that type of hearing be broadcast? And it could just
no, I don't think it's broadcast. But
it depends on the rules of that particular court whether they even allow it.
Rupert Murdoch himself was deposed for this case. I don't think the public has a right to sit in on a deposition.
But in open court,
open court, yes, if it goes to trial. But it's amazing it's gotten this far. It really is. And I don't think it's amazing. I think Dominion's going to win hands down because they were just off the rails in lying. No, the proving, it's hard to prove. Actual malice has to be proven. There are cases that. I think they got him knowingly broadcasting. And knowing it's not truth, you can infer the malice. Sorry.
So Susan, you're the lawyer. So you tell me if you're the plaintiff, if you just you just have everybody subpoenaed, and you just have them tell their story, ask them questions, not tell their story, but ask them the questions, ask them to read transcript, ask them why they were saying this. And if it's 50 of Fox News journalists, you have 50 different people you subpoenaed up there talking. And at some point, it's just got to be crazy. Or am I not living in the real world?
No, it's hard to imagine, but that's exactly how that case is going to play out.
And if it does, could it potentially destroy them? This would, because then if
that's what Tucker Carlson is saying. His brand is being destroyed once those texts came out.
Well, it should be destroyed because he's telling lies and firing up. I don't know.
Well, we'll see where this goes. The potential to damage Fox is real. it would be amazing to take it down. I think there is the possibility of Fox, figuring they might lose, settling a big hunk of dough on Dominion. And I hope it doesn't go that way. I hope it doesn't. I hope it goes to a jury. But Dominion might be happy to, just stop you can imagine the legal expenses in this thing. I don't know. But it could be that Murdoch's going to figure, I better this is a big loss, but I better just pay him and shut this thing down. That's what I'm going to assume is the more likely thing, but I don't know.
Well, it's just like all those women who were, were complaining about Trump all signed disclosures, and here we go again. And the big
you buy them off, and it goes away. Yeah.
Well, I'm really not so sure that will happen, because in order for Dominion to be made whole, they require a judgment that says those people lied. And I think the whole point of bringing I think there's a motive to stay in it for them, because there isn't enough money. How many billions are they going to settle on them to make their reputation whole? All right. Well, stay tuned for the rest of the story, because we're out of time.
Okay, Paul.
We're out of time. Okay.
All right. Enjoy the rest of the day, everybody.
Yeah,
you too,
Roger. Thank you. All right, Suze, be careful.
Yeah. Okay.
Be careful of that weather. Okay, my God, it's so
I know. That's what I was thinking the whole time. Thinking, I'm going to be worried now for several days because oh my God, weather.
Weather. You believe it? Weather. Hide, everybody! Hide. Everybody
it might snow in the winter in Wisconsin. Oh my God!
Oh my God! All right. Bye, Sue.
I love you. Bye.
I love you too. Bye. And I love you guys too. Slightly different way, but I love you too. And I'll talk at you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.